can see the parliament, the national parliament. This is where all the major decisions for all of Sweden is made. And beyond the parliament, there's a little half-round building that used to be the Swedish National Bank. But because the parliament was growing, they decided to occupy the National Bank and make it a part of the parliament as well. And over here, you can see the Royal Palace. Well, we'll be visiting a different side of it later, and the square to have a better look. But this is the northern side. This is the only side that's preserved because what happened was this used to be the place that had the Castle of Three Crowns. As I told you, the picture you saw in the City Hall, in the Golden Hall, the tower was supposed to have 3 crowns, but in the picture there was only 2. That's the castle that was supposed to be here. But because of a big fire in the 1500s, in the 16th century, almost the entire castle burned down, except for the northern side. The only side that was preserved was the northern side, and this is the northern side. So this one is more resembles of the old castle, while the rest of it is built in the 17th and 18th century. And the reason it took so long to rebuild this was because at that time Sweden was fighting a war with Poland. It lasted almost 100 years because of the Polish king then was the uncle to the Swedish king, and he thought that the king, the throne should be passed down to him rather than his nephew. So he had a big fight with his nephew, so they decided to have a war. And during that time, because of all the money that went to the war, the money for building a palace, of course, would be secondary need. So it took almost 100 years to rebuild this whole palace. And this is the only side that's the old side. The northern side is the old side. The rest of it is a re-renovated and newly built in a Rococo style. And this is the side that's more of the old classic Baltic and what's the word I'm looking for? All of a sudden it's stuck in my head. Yes, so this is the more old style, and the rest of it's a Rococo style. And yeah, and so this is and over here, it's on the water here, this is still the lake water. So there, eventually we'll pass by a point where I will point out to you where we divide the water. So right here on this bridge, all the way continuing to the old town, this part divides the water pretty well. This is the part where it's actually sort of neutral. But on that side, on the west side, we have the Lake Mälaren. That's the sweet water. And on the eastern side, on this side, we have the seawater.
Seawater,
yes.
salt water.
The salt water from the Baltic Sea. And back in the days when Sweden was during its greatest time, during the rule of Karl the Seventh, it was Sweden was so big that we had both Sweden, Norway, Finland, Estonia, Latvia, and north of Poland. And we surrounded the entire Baltic Sea. And during that period, Sweden was so big that we made a joke and said the Baltic Sea is sort of like a lake for Sweden because it's all of Sweden surrounding it. So yeah, you're free to take more photos of these buildings around.